Hi, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us for this special pop-up live stream on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Taking your questions live about U.S. immigration, where we answer general education-based questions about the system. I know it's a complicated one, and a lot of people have a lot of questions all the time. We'll do our best to try to give you an idea of what's going on, especially in light of all the big changes that are happening under the current administration. Again, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I'm headquartered in Los Angeles, but all the cases we take are done by email, mail, phone, that kind of stuff. So our location does not matter for almost all the cases that we handle. If you're interested in schedule a private video consultation, we always do video. There are fake people who have fake profiles of us that they do like WhatsApp on phone or something like that. We do have video so you can see me until the AI could mess around with that. We'll have to figure out another solution. Good afternoon, CE user. Good to see you. We're here taking your questions. If you're interested in a marriage green card case, download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. The website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And along with that, I jumped ahead and tell you, if you want to contact us, just go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in that small box that has like your name and your description of your case issue, so you can figure out what's going on in your case first. And from there, we could contact you and reply with guidance on what to do next. So shoot out your questions, and we'll see what we can do to give you some better understanding of this immigration process on this wonderful Sunday, March 2nd, 2025. Usually we're here live Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. But today I had a little bit of time, so I thought I'd come half an hour on the show and jump on to answer questions for people on the weekends who can't usually come in during the week. We're getting a lot of people coming on Instagram right now. How long does it take when you get married? Well, it depends. Is your spouse a green card holder or a U.S. citizen? Do you have immigration issues or not? Are you in the United States or outside the United States? What country are you from? So all these have factors. It could be 3 months. It could be 5 years or 6 years. And so it's all over the place. C user says, what's the difference, the pros and cons of doing a mandamus lawsuit versus just threatening to sue? Threatening to sue will do nothing in the immigration context. So if you're going to do it, you have to do it. The threats don't matter at all. It used to be you could maybe write out the whole lawsuit and send it to the government and say, we're going to sue on this. But for a mandamus, for delay, that's not going to do anything. It's more for other kinds of cases where it's really ridiculous errors. But at this point, you just got to sue. There's no threats. Peter's tax, good to see you. Good afternoon. How long is K3 taking now? There's almost no K3s being approved, so I can't give you a realistic time frame because K3s aren't taking any amount of time. For very few cases, that's possible. Let me see, DOS visa stats. While we're talking, I'm going to try to look up some statistics on how many people. Maybe I'll share my screen. I can't share it on TikTok, so it's going to be hard. But let me see monthly visa issuance to see if there's any visas that are K3 even issued recently. Eric asks, after DACA recipient, are DACA recipients safe to fly domestically with everything going on? I can't really comment on what's safe or not. They can break the rules. They can have other problems. You might be a DACA recipient that has arrest, or you have your same name as someone who was a national security concern, or things like that. So if you're afraid, just don't go. I can't vouch for every single government officer and what they're going to do and what rules they're going to change. So we get these questions about safety a lot. If you're worried about it, then don't do it. That's all we can say. That's the safest thing that's out there. All right, visa issuance by place of birth, by visa class. It's not immigrant visa, so I should be looking at I'm looking at the wrong one. I need the immigrant visa. I need non-immigrant visa. So the K3 is actually a non-immigrant visa. Even though it's not a green card visa. Visa stats, NIV. Let's go with the recent ones. You're welcome, CE user. I wish I could share the screen, but Kyla says, I filed I-130 for my husband. In the meantime, what can I do if he gets deported? Well, he may not get deported. So first of all, does he have an order of removal there or not? Did he come in on the visa waiver program or not? So it's like they can't just pick you up and deport you unless he recently entered within the last 2 years or has the order already, or else they make a mistake. So Eric, Kayla, what you 100% should do is develop a relationship with an immigration attorney that knows your case. So if he does get deported or is close to it, they can be ready to go. Don't do it after the fact. So what you do is right now you prepare ahead of time so you're ready for it if it pops up. Okay, so let me see if there's any K3 visas that have it. K3 visa is like if you have a marriage green card case pending with a U.S. citizen, it's a way to potentially speed up the process and get a visa to enter the U.S. sooner to finish up the green card process in the U.S. Every year, there's only like 5 of these compared to like 10,000 or 50,000 marriage green cards or however many numbers. So it's not something that really pops up. But looking at the statistics, the most recent one for Department of State, December 2024, on the K3 visa category, there's no K3 visas were issued in the month of December. Let me see how many K1s they were issued. So a lot of K1s, hundreds and hundreds of K1s were issued, but no K3 visa was issued in December 2024. So that'll give you an idea what the reality of this is. Let's check November 2024. Were there any K3 visas issued in November? I'm doing the Control F right now, or Command F, because I'm on a Mac. K3. Is there any K3s? Zero. K1? Yeah, a bunch. So there's no K3s. It's not a realistic thing to think that you're going to get one. Steve says, is it okay to have parents as dependents on tax forms instead of them filing on their own? Will that count as them filing taxes when they naturalize after 5 years? Well, I can't say if it's okay or not. That's a tax question. But if it is okay and the IRS says okay, then it's not a problem for naturalization as long as you properly report all the necessary information. Jada asked, DQ, document to qualify for the National Visa Center for my spouse, IR1 visa. How long did it take for interview in Nepal embassy? The last case I did in Nepal was about 1.5 years ago. Took about 6 months, but so things changed a lot, so we don't know. Kayla says no order. Well, that's good, Kayla. So most likely you're not going to support your husband, but we got to see what's going on. If you have an I-130 pending, you got to see what's going on. King of Medley says I've sued for I-751 removal of conditions taking over 5 years and won the case. Congrats. If you take that long, I would have filed for citizenship at that point and then just fast forward to save the money and time of filing. I know some clients contact, they're angry and they want to sue, but it might have been a waste of money because, okay, he would have proved it anyways. We should have just used that money to file for citizenship and they would have knocked out both of them at the citizenship time. But I understand it happens. So when these schemes get stuck for a long time, it's very frustrating. Kayla says, okay, thank you, you're welcome. The beauty says, thank you, you're welcome. Deborah, let's see. Sonia asks, can I submit Form I-485 if a citizen's spouse is out of the country? You can. I mean, yes and no, because part of the adjustment of status, there's a form called I-864 affidavit of support. And part of the requirements is that this person, your spouse, be domiciled in the U.S. So if they're not domiciled here, that's going to create a problem for that, unless they're in the military or something like that, some sort of exception. So Sonia, you might have the problems. You definitely should consult with an immigration attorney in private. Deborah asks, happy new month. Same to you. Are interviews for children in West Africa still ongoing, as my VAWA aunt filed for children since 2024? I don't know. Depends on how old the children are. So if they're above 14, yes, for sure. Under 14 or 12, I'm not sure what the cutoff. I can't remember. But maybe you never know until it happens. So it's different every time. Peter says if someone sent their adjustment of status docs to USCIS and after 4 months never get a receipt, saying they received the application, what should you do? That person needs to do? Well, did they cash a check? Was the money accepted? If that happened, then you know. Did you track the mail? Do you know if the government even got it? So you got to do that stuff first, your due diligence. And there's some indication there, potentially, you can figure out if the case is submitted, get a case number, contact lockbox support, contact USCIS. There's different things you could do, but first of all, you would know if they have the case, if they took the money. If they didn't, then the case is lost. And so you should maybe cancel the check or cancel the credit card deposit, or maybe contact USCIS to see what's happening. Anything's possible, but we got to dig in deep to see what's going on. Abdirahim says, is it still open? Immigrants marry U.S. citizens get green cards? Yeah, that's never stopped and it won't stop. That's a normal thing. Download our guide, Abdirahim, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. The website's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Okay, Abdirahim, having said that, you asking the same question a million times. You just won our first award for being muted in today's conversation because you make it hard to keep track on what in the world's going on. Please respect the system and don't ask the same question a million times. Makes it hard to answer and help. Sarah above says, if I lost the job on H-1B, can I move to H-4 when I find a job in 6 months? Can I move back to H-1B? If you properly do that stuff, yeah, it's possible. If you got your H-1B number and your place, it was H-1B cap, and it wasn't cap exempt H-1B, and you properly do the timeline changes. Sheikh says K-1B is the processing time. Well, the wild card is it could be 6 to 12 months on average, 6 to 15 months to get the first part of the approved form I-129F. The problem is the embassy. Embassy could be 3 months. It could be 2 years. So it really depends on what country you're going for. Ahmad says my N400 is almost 200 days waiting in LA. 200 days is nothing in immigration timeline. That's just, whatever. It's not a big deal. It's normal. A says spouse and I moved to Singapore and I abandoned my marriage-based green card. We now move back. Can I reapply for green card spouse USC? I got to see what's going on. If it was a proper abandonment or not, you may still be able to keep the green card. Probably better to give it up or not to get a new one just to reset it. But we got to see what's going on because how did you enter? What visa category did you enter with? What did you say in the applications? Have you been filing taxes? There's a lot going on there. So schedule a private consultation Yeah, go to jqqlaw.com/contact and set that up. jqqlaw.com/contact. See user follows up. Can you use the passport as evidence of citizenship when sponsoring someone for visa as a citizen? Yes. Well, you really need the certificate of citizenship. No, you will. I mean, they could always ask for a certificate of citizenship or naturalization or something. But sometimes people don't have it or they lost it, or so we just send the passport in. Kayla says, one more question. My husband applied down the PIP under Biden, got as far as biometrics before. It doesn't really do anything, the biometrics, other than so the question is this new registration system for Biden. Do you need to sign up? They did take his biometrics. The actual rules and regulations have not been released yet, Kayla. So we don't know if he will, but most likely he did the biometrics there. He will be included, but they haven't released again the final guidance on that. So I can't say for sure. Iraqi trainer asks, please, can you tell me how much for mandamus I-130 delay? We don't do mandamus cases. I don't talk about fees here anyway, so I can't answer that two ways. Victoria says, my husband has 2 to 10 year bar. Is it possible? We have been married 14 years with 3 children. Now, if you have a I-6, if you have a 3 or 10 year bar, potentially you can do an I-601A and get that fixed. But if you have other reasons like a permanent bar or a misrepresentation bar, it's a whole different thing. You have a good I-601A case with 3 kids, probably. Victoria, schedule a private consultation so we can look into your case further. jqqlaw.com/contact. Pat says, will an attorney will be worth it? My friend's Haitian TPS ends 2025. I don't, and then also, how often do you come across Haitians? I don't do any Haitian cases. They're not that many contact me. So I would go to, there's a firm that's really, I mean, it's pretty expensive, but it's Kurzban firm in Florida. They've been really supportive of the Haitian TPS situation. I go to them. But yeah, your friend should, just as I told Kayla earlier, if you have things that are coming down the line that are going to be really troublesome for immigration, you should have a relationship with the immigration attorneys you trust. So have consultations with 5 different immigration attorneys to find one who's knowledgeable, the price makes sense, they're, know what they're talking about, all that kind of stuff, and you're comfortable just talking with. So you have it set up now in preparation for something happens. They're already ahead of it instead of doing it later. So will an attorney be worth it? Yeah, 100% is worth it. A good attorney, but I wouldn't be it. Haitian TPS is not my specialty, so I would go with someone else. But definitely something to look at. Prince says, I have an affidavit from a court addressing a mistake I made as a secondary evidence document. Will they accept it in the embassy? I don't know what the document is. I can't tell you what a document I've never seen before. I have no context for Prince if they're good or acceptable at the embassy. Hello, Jake, to you. CU says, are you able to help someone who's got caught by ICE? Can you be their lawyer to contact when that happens? Basically, have you on speed dial? So no, I don't handle any cases where people are deported or have immigration court. These are cases that require eventually a person maybe to show up at place. And as I said at the beginning of the show, we only handle cases where I could do them through my phone, email, online, and mail. So a case where someone's detained, we don't. And that's why when we say contact us, we want you to fill us in on what the situation is. So we let you know ahead of time that we don't contact us, so we don't do it. So asylum, you're detained, immigration court, we don't do those cases. So we're not a good resource for that. But other cases, marriage, immigration, your spouse is abroad, they're in the United States, you're doing an investment, starting a small business, E2, L1A, EB1A, extraordinary ability, or top of the field, NIW, national interest waiver. These are the things we focus on. It's all by mail to the government, essentially. I think I was going somewhere or something, but okay, that's that. So let's see. Thank you for the badges. UJC says, what about unsolicited evidence on my MyUSA account? Can I upload evidence? Up to you if you want to do it. I don't know what evidence you're uploading, so I can't say yes or no. Typically, we never need to upload additional evidence because the cases come in strong, but depends on your case. Pyle says, can U.S. citizens be deported if they lie? What is parents lie? Yeah, I mean, if they lied to get their citizenship, potentially the citizenship could be reopened and denaturalization hearing, and they get kicked out as possible. Depends on what you consider lying. So it might be, we got to look into that case in more detail. I mean, if they lied to get some benefit, yeah, that's possible. Pat says, Kurzban, also I'm in Florida already. It's Kurzban, Kurzban. They're the ones who did the lawsuit originally to keep Haitian TPS. So they're like on the spearhead of the front of this stuff. They're like really well-known immigration law firm, Pat. So as you imagine, this is going to be a little expensive, but I mean, they're really into it, this Haitian TPS stuff. So they could do the best job there probably. VSU says, me and my husband, I don't know their prices, so I hope they don't come back and get angry at me. I'm promoting them at they're one of the best. So, but I'm guessing agree they're more expensive. VSQ says, me and my husband filed I-180, I think 130 of June 2024. Any chance we'll see any movement ever? Yes, but it's too soon. Adonis says, hi, do you know the timing for AP for Iranian passport holder for F1 visa application? No, there's no official timing. It could be a week, it could be years, and you get denied after a couple of years. Can you spell that piece? Platt says, okay, Kurzban. If you type that into ChatGPT or Google an immigration law from Florida, it'll come up. KPPT is Kurzman. No, it's KKPT. Kurzman, Pratt, Tetzeli, and Pratt. KKTP, Tetzeli, and Pratt. That's the law firm. KKTP immigration law. If you look up my name in a podcast, I have a different podcast where I do a monthly interview with one of their partners. So it's going to be too convoluted to find that way, but that's there too. C user, you're welcome. Pilot says, if you get deported, can you come back to the U.S. again? Depends what the deportation is. Depends on what happened, what the lie was about. And there's a lot going on, Pilot, that we got to see. Is there a waiver available? Is there a qualifying relative? It's not that easy for me to say yes or no. Daniel says, my parents are here on a B1, B2. Do they have certain time away from the U.S. to come back? There's no fixed answer. It depends on what the officer at the airport think. There's no like mathematical rule. SK says, what is the current maximum allowed regard drug offense on I-485? Spouse's possession over 20 grams. It depends on what the possession is, the marijuana or not, and what they're doing. Was it intended? So I don't know. I don't handle these cases usually. So, but there's more information. Like you didn't even specify what drug it is, for example. So someone needs to see what the paperwork is on the criminal history to be able to answer that. C user says, if one failed to register for selective service when required, will that be a bar for naturalization? Can you simply wait until you age out before applying naturalization? Can you be overcome? Yeah, typically if someone forgets to do that, they could argue that there was an honest mistake and still get approved. But if not, if they're marrying you, if they're getting citizenship after 3 years based on marriage to U.S. citizen, they could do it when they're 28 or 29, 3 years after 25. It's either 28 or 29. And if they're waiting the 5 years, they could do it after 30 or 31. I forgot the numbers were. And it'll be okay. Hung says, I have my I-485 interview waived. No RFE. Should I be cautiously happy? That website saying your interview is waived is USCIS is not. It's not grounded in reality. So if they say that, you disregard USCIS.gov's proclamations until you get the paper notice in hand of whether you have a green card or you have an interview. There's no real. You don't really know. You're welcome, C user. Good to see you again. Lisa says, filed an I-212 for expedited removal, given 5 years outside U.S. for 5 years. What's next? I don't know. We got to see what's going on with your case and what cases you have, all that kind of stuff. Kurzman, you're right. That's it, Pat. Camera, you're welcome, Hong. Samar says, random question, but how many languages you speak? I speak 2 languages. Pyle says, what if someone lies in court? What happens? I don't know. You shouldn't lie. You go to prison. I don't know. It's too broad based. Is it criminal court? Is it civil court? Is it immigration court? That's possible. C user says, always good to see you, attorney. Thank you. Same here. Nisha says, what will be the case time when wife is in a different country and my husband is in USA citizen? Well, what country are you in, Nisha? And it varies. So it's going to be a long time. This is inevitably. Download our guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Hey, Susan, good to see you. Susan, I learned something about, if you're watching on Instagram, I learned something about your last name. I learned what Litwack means. It's I was watching some stuff about Jewish history. I'm like, oh, I know Litwack. Now I know where that last name comes from. So I was like, okay. For all those know, if you're from Latvia, and it's like a Jewish last name from Latvia. I think that's what Litvak is. So it was very interesting. Sharing some tips or tidbits of history on our page. Kwame says, do you know the month and year embassy acronym? No, there's no information on that publicly. Does USCIS waive I-75 interviews? Yeah, they do. It depends on the case. Nisha answered your question. What are processing times in Oregon? No one knows. Do you recommend self-deportation? I don't make recommendations for people I have known nothing about. Sheena, does USCIS answer that question? Can someone travel on an extension letter? It depends on their background. Pyle says, can a mental illness person be deported? Maybe. There are admissibility bans for that. But it depends on the whole situation. These aren't like quick questions. I say that you have to learn everything about a person to see what's going on to answer that. Supermail says, permanent resident here since 1990, safe to travel. I don't know. I don't know anything about you other than you've been a permanent resident. Maybe you're a murderer for all I know. I don't know. I can't answer these questions. I can't answer if something's safe or not. I'm based on knowing nothing about a person. All right. So we got some more questions coming. Maura says, can I travel internationally with advanced parole and pending AOS? Potentially, if you have a clear background and, there's risk on it, but that's what advanced parole is for. Clock says, filed my marriage based on November's interview as checked, currently on step 4. What should I hear? That website that's telling you that, just like that person I told you, means nothing. Just wait to see what happens. Supermel says, LOL. Same here. Harisha says, what do you think about Trump's statement for international students? I don't put much weight into it. Apparently, we're getting some comments filtered. Ahmed says, can I apply for refugee travel document from outside the U.S.? It's not impossible. It's not good that you left without it and you probably used your home country passport. I don't do these cases anymore, but I have gotten it before. But it's a lot of work and it's a battle. Moral says, I have used my AP once before the current administration thinks, yeah, it's not impossible, but it's just risks you got to take on. If you want to take it, it depends on the whole picture of things. Shrivan, thank you for joining. All right, we'll be another 10 minutes. Breon says, have you done AOS from G2 and will USCIS have the contact organization that sponsor the visa? I haven't done G2. I've done other international employee ones. They probably won't ask him. You have to fill out an additional form called what is it? There's not 407. There's a special form you have to extra that you complete for our G2 though. Miss Aizu says, have been DQ since February 2024. When should we expect possible spouse visa in Lagos? I don't know. It's just they're backed up. C user says, do you have to wait for re-entry permit to be mailed before you travel outside 2 years? The rules aren't don't say, but historically clients have traveled before it's approved and it's fine. So we don't say don't do it. Mega says, if you have a clear background, can you travel an I-751 extension letter? You may not know what a clear background is. So a lot of times people come to us, about 8 out of 10 times people come to us for cases. They say, I have a clean background. What's the price? Is easy. And then we get into it and it's not clean. It's not easy. So your definition of a clear background is not the same as me. So I can't answer that question. So you're welcome, C user. Brian Mena says 566 and 5. Well, yeah, that's correct. You just have to do one of them, but you have to do that extra form. Ahmed says, is it possible if you travel document? We already answered that question. Dobman said, do you think it's advisable for me to travel from out from my F1 visa renewal at this time? I can't advise you, not my client. Mario said, can I ask you a question? You just did. All right. So we got another, 8 minutes left. Shoot out your questions. Ahmed, thanks for joining us. Ms. Izu. Let's see. Yeah. So whenever you leave the U.S., you never know if you're going to come back in. So if you're here, that's a risk you got to take, whatever status it is. Until you're a citizen, I mean, even if you're a green card holder, you're probably good, but you never know. If you're on a temporary visa, you never know. Munya says, filed I-130 1 year and have still waiting for USCIS. Is it wise to use? No, I-130 a year is like nothing. That's just regular. Ahmed says, thank you. You're welcome. Save that money to hire an attorney to help you on the next step. Mariletta says, if I had an asylum application, I got my green card through marriage, can I travel my country? So the technical answer says don't do it. Probably nothing's going to happen. Very unlikely, but I can't say do it because I don't know what you said in your asylum application because then it'll look like you're lying. So not knowing anything about your case, I can't recommend someone do something. Humera, thank you for joining. Vina, Chauri, Mikazao, Leham, everybody. Hilly Video said, Virgo says, is it possible to get expedited requests for high-risk pregnancy with triplets and you can't work? You could try. That's all you got to do is try. Brian says, does a timeline to get a green card from a diplomat visa get processed faster at the same time? Same time. I haven't seen it be different. But you got to be careful with the diplomat visa sometimes. I mean, not too yet, but you just got to make sure all the paperwork's right and what you said and what your entry and all that stuff's correct. Lisa said, is a biometric still required for I-212 waiver, even if I did it for the I-130? You don't do biometrics for the I-130. So they wouldn't have done one for I-130 doesn't have a biometrics appointment. 212 waiver, it's inevitably going to have a biometrics. 212s are usually done when you're outside the U.S. I'm not sure if you're doing the U.S. You probably will. Yeah. Brian says, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You're welcome, Brian. C user says, will attorney Sergeyeva join the live show in the future? She's pretty busy with work, so that's why she hasn't been coming on. So I have a lead associate, Anya Sergeyeva. Might have watched her old video, but she's swamped with work, so it's harder to get her on video and stuff. But hopefully, I'd like her. I talk really fast and people can't understand me sometimes, so she slows it down a lot. So it's good to have her to show there's a slower aspect of our law firm too. Not slower in a bad way, just slower in the way it's like understandable. Pyle says, can a gay person be deported? Yeah, it depends. They won't be deported to Iran, but if you're being deported to France or something, yeah, why not? Let's see. Is it safe to travel on a travel permit as Iranian? I can't. It's up to you if you want to travel. I can't say something's safe. If you ask me, is it safe to get in a car, drive to work? Do you buy car insurance? That means you're afraid that something might happen. So I can't say something's safe at all. So these questions we get every time. I understand where you come from, but it's just impossible for me to say something's safe. Because if something goes bad, 1 out of a million chance, then I'm going to get sued. Because I said on a live video, it's safe. but I don't know anything about you, were you a member of the SEPA, Islamic Garage Guard Corps? Was your dad a member of SEPA? Did you actually get a DUI once and you didn't, or hit and run that they find out later? I don't know anything about you. So I can't, and then not to put on you, just I get this question a lot. This is the reason I can't answer that question because I just don't know. So it's like contacting a doctor and saying, listen, I'm 20-year-old healthy. Do you think I might have, a heart disease? Well, probably not 20-year-old, but we could do tests and stuff. All of a sudden you have bad genetics and you're screwed. You have bad heart disease at 20. You never know. Hey, Katie, good to see you. Good to see you, Daniels, as well. Let's see. Hello, Fao. Ahmed says, just one more favor. If my refugee case denied traveling out to the U.S. without travel documents, I'm not sure what that question is. Just one. If my refugee case is denied, traveling outside the U.S. without travel documents, if you have refugee, I don't know, a refugee case, you're outside. If you're inside, it's asylum. If you have asylum case pending, you shouldn't be traveling outside the U.S. That's a bad idea. Because, if he is denied, you're stuck outside. Sam says U visa, it's potentially you could argue to get back in, but it's just a bad idea. Sam, U visa pending and did my fingerprints and still waiting on my work permit for 8 months. What should I do? I don't know. Keep waiting. I can't advise you on that, but probably have to keep waiting. Ali says, I have an IR5 interview coming. Any advice? Yeah, just have your documents ready and answers ready. Sasi says, consider the cost versus the benefit if it's worth it. Okay. C user, will DACA recipients need to file a waiver when married to a U.S. citizen? Is a different process for those that got paroled and who stuck with it. So, C user, thank you for your question. If you're a DACA recipient and you got advanced parole, you left and it came back in, you don't need to get a waiver for any, unlawful presence if you're married to a U.S. citizen. Now, if you had misrepresentation or fraud or lying or something like that, you may need to get a 601 waiver. But you don't need to deal with a 310 waiver bar if you enter lawfully with advanced parole, then filed based on a marriage case. Hung follows up, I should get a letter if my I-485 interview waived, correct? Not if it's waived, you won't get a letter. But if you have an interview, you'll get it or just get approval in the mail. So you know it's waived when you get approved without going to interview. Imran says, I got my permanent green card for 10 years, January 2024. When can I apply for citizenship? 27 months or 36 months? If you've been married and living with a U.S. citizen for, 2 years and 9 months, you can file then. If you're not married to a U.S. citizen, 5 years. So 4 years and 9 months from getting the green card. We have a detailed video on this on YouTube. Just type in J2K law, citizenship timeline, that kind of stuff. Charisma says, I know a DACA holder who uses advanced parole to cure the illegal entry. Yeah, that do all the time. We file green cards in those cases every month for people who travel with DACA. So they got lawful entry and they adjust status, get a green card in the U.S. with marriage green card. Something we do like every month. We have a case like that. I'm about to file one. Where is it? On my table over here. I don't want to show people's names are on there. File says, how long F2A category take to be approved? Many, many years. If they're inside the U.S., probably like 3-4 years. If outside, probably 5 years. Is I-765 asylum for work permit is approved or no, sir? Is I-765 asylum for work permit is approved or no, sir? Sorry, 0%. Your question doesn't make sense to me. CU says, do you handle T or U visas? Nope. We were thinking about getting to U's because we get a lot of requests for it, but we don't do humanitarian cases. Asylum, T visa, U visa. Some VAWA cases we'll do just because we feel bad for the situation, but generally we don't do humanitarian cases. Hazel Eye says, how long does it take to be approved for a fiancé visa? I'm a U.S. citizen. 6 months to 15 months for the first step, 3 months to 2 years for the second step. And then once you're in the United States, 3 to 12 months for getting the green card average. Rita says, when EB3 skilled worker forward, it feels like forever. Yeah, the skilled worker programs are not moving at all or barely moving. Pyle says, what happened if a gay person is accepted in India if deported? I don't know. Accepted in India? I don't know. They just in India. I don't know exactly what you're asking from me. JR says, if I age out when the green card holder filed for my child under 21, how long does a petition take? It depends on what you mean by aging out and which category you drop into and where you're at and what kind of filing it was. So, JR, we got to go look at your individual case to answer that question. Hart says, conversation over 20 years is spent in UK applied without disclosure. EDN is approved. I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. Sorry. Yan says, I owe 2024 taxes and my schedule N400 on March 6th. Is that a problem? Yeah, you have to have a payment plan set up with the IRS, signed and break down what it is. As long as a couple of payments in, so you show you're abiding by it, then it's up to the discretion of USCIS whether they'll approve your citizenship. They usually will, but you have to have that payment plan set up if you owe back taxes. You can't, they're not supposed to approve it. Now, they might not notice and still approve it, but there's a question that says you owe back taxes on the form. You may not have when you file the form, you may not know you owe back taxes, but you need to set that up properly. Hong says, give John some love. Thank you, Hong. I appreciate that. I wish you the best in your case. Pickle says, how many cases are currently pending USCIS? Not the immigrant court, just USCIS. Go to uscis.gov. There's statistics page to get that information. I'm not an encyclopedia. Chris Maher, good to see you. Random question, John. If immigration law didn't exist, what career would you have chosen? I'll probably do like YouTube and talk about, stuff online about something, marketing, and talking about some sort of topic online. I'm interested in everything, so I can always find something interesting to talk about. So I'd probably do my job as an immigration lawyer. What I really do is I like getting complicated information, thinking about it, and then writing it and using it in simpler ways for people. So whatever kind of complicated information data there is in the world, I'd probably sit and study that. And then I'll come online and in publications and magazines and online and whatever, I just publish. So that's what I'm really doing here. So the lawyer is a title that publicly people know, an immigration lawyer. But I like it. That's what I'm doing. Just whatever complex information there is in the world, I just study it and think about it and try to find easier ways to convey it to the public and to help them better understand it, to help their lives. So whatever would fit that. That's my skill in life. That's probably most people's skill. A lot of people with it, professionals. C user says, is there a hope for a married person not with the U.S. citizen LPR who overstayed their visitor visa to adjust status to their employer? You have unlawful presence. So unless you have some sort of exception like 245I or you're a U visa holder, it's going to be hard to do anything in that kind of situation. There might be exceptions, but it's going to be hard to do anything. I'm going to be wrapping up pretty soon. Let's get some last questions in there. On DS-260, do they only require 10 years of employment history or list all since come to USA? The DS-260, if you're already in the USA, you don't need to do DS-260. But if they do, it's usually 10 years full. But already, Alejandro, your question doesn't fully make sense to me, so I gotta see what's going on. Chris Mars asks, "You're welcome." C user, you're welcome. Yan, I already answered your question in full detail. Young says, hi, I came on a K1 fiance visa, applied for adjustment of status. Is it safe for me to go back to my country and advance parole? I already answered this question. I can't answer something safe or not. Bill says, how long for something? Pal, what happens if a gay person is not accepted in India? If your home country will not accept you or is not accepting, then you get what's called withholding of removal. So they'll just keep in the U.S. until the rule change. But I'm not an expert on removal proceedings and stuff, so I don't want to really talk more about that. Bree says, is it true a pardon under this presidency takes 4 years? I think mean a waiver, and it's been like that since Obama's time. That's taking 2 or 4 years or something like that. Yeah. Parsi Love says, can a green card holder visit Iran at this time? Yeah. For the most part, I don't know their background, but generally, yeah, it's not a big deal. How long for I-751? 6 months to 3 years. Nini Rock says, I'm on an H-1 visa. I'm due for a green card. I opened a business in January. Please, can it affect me? If you've been working on without permission, yes. So you got to stop that. Mario says, please answer me. Mario, I don't know what your question is. You just say, ask questions, ask your question. Nadim says, what if I get a conditional green card with, and then doesn't continue the question. Ryan in Denver says, going on waiting 2 months for NBC to contact us for interview date. Yeah, there's no time limit on that. So you won't keep waiting, buddy. Sorry. The right says, how much does it cost to file I-130 and reopen case? I mean, are you filing the I-130 or reopening case? There's two different things. So schedule private consultation to discuss that if you're asking that question. Parself, do you advise someone on going to Iran with a green card? Is it a good idea? Listen, if your family's sick and you got to see your family member, it's up to you. You got to make a decision on your own. And I don't know anything about your background and your relationship with Iran, the government, and how you got your green card, all that kind of stuff. So I don't like to advise people unless I know the full story and give individual advice. Just saying some advice at the will to the computer like this, it doesn't really help much. You really got to see what you need. Okay. Jiang says, I'll answer that question. Nadim says, my wife's my U.S. citizen wife. Can I travel abroad? I don't know. I don't know anything about you, Nadim. What if I get a conditional green card with, I don't know. I can't advise anyone on anything like that. Okay. We're getting a lot of repeat questions, so we're going to call it a day pretty soon. Pura says, how true is it if a U.S. citizen marries someone else outside the U.S. to get a green card? That's something we do every day. Go to our website, down our full guide, 70+ pages. The website's marriageimmigrationlaw.com, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Pura says, Donald Trump said U.S. citizens, if you marry someone else outside the U.S., that person and your question doesn't continue, but nothing has changed when the U.S. citizen marriage case at this point. Love your content. Comment says, thank you. Ahmed says, why is the F-280 bullet not move? I don't know. Ask the government. Ask your senator. Amon says, answer my question. Answer my question. Well, you didn't ask a question other than just saying, answer my question. Paul Sports, do you think Tom Homan is doing a good job? I don't know what a definition of a good job is, but, it depends on how you look at it. If his job is to remove and deport people, Not yet, but he doesn't have the resources to do that. But it seems like the government's giving him a lot of resources, so it's going to be a wild show the next 4 years. You're welcome, Pura. Chris Mar, have a good day, John. Love what you do, and God bless you. Thank you, Chris Mar. I think you already have already, but in C user you too. But leave a 5-star review on Google. Type in JQK Law, and then for the group, you don't have to write anything. Just put 5 stars. It helps us out and takes us in. Tall Sports says for bad guy people. Well, it depends on which definition of bad people is, but I don't really keep track of exactly what he's doing. I'm just doing my job. Most of the clients that I deal with don't have removal or deportation issues per se, so it doesn't really apply to clientele that I handle. It's just like kind of not in my world. Mario, you never asked your question. Sorry, you're not getting answered. You got to ask the question first instead of just complaining. Chris Mar, thank you so much. See, said immigration law too complex. It is too complex. But there's really no way to fix it, in my opinion. Billy said, is it good to sign to have ICE fine pending 50 months with good evidence? It's not a good or bad sign. That's just normal. Lima says, I have a green card for 10 years. I want to travel to the UK. I came legally, and also I'm a student in the US. What's your question, Lima? Mediana says, my marriage, I-485 is denied. I'm sorry to hear that. After I filed VAWA due to domestic abuse, do I need to worry about deportation? A little bit right now because of the situation, but you have a VAWA case. Don't travel, and you're going to have an interview, and it's backed up. So we got to see how strong the case is, but, that's that. You should have an attorney for sure. It's local to you. Who comes to an interview if needed. Okay, we're getting a lot of... Lima keeps asking makes the same comment without asking a question. Can I travel with the green card? Anyone can travel with the green card, but I can't say whether you could do it. I can't advise you individually here. GPR says, should I file I-485 5 months after I-130? We did consular processing initially. GPR, that's really individual case guidance. I got to see what's going on. If you're in the situation, 100% schedule consultation to see what's going on, because there's you your consular processing case petition get terminated, and that terminates the I-130. You got to know what's up as you're doing this path. So jqqlaw.com/contact, fees do apply. Reno says, I have military pro in place. How long does it take after my son to make the petition? How long does it take? Who knows? There's no official time limit. 6 months, 2 years. Chris Mar says, left the 5-star review. Have a blessed day. Chris Mar, God bless you. Thank you so much. Lima answered your question. You could ask 10 more times. Amon says, answer my question. I think you're just playing with me now. How much time does it take to get the interview? There's no timelines. It just depends on whenever they get around to it. All right, so we'll leave it as that. With regards to something being safe or how long things take, there's no real answer to that. And Cordy says, sure, I have no last name on the EAD. If that's an error, contact USCIS to get a new one, correct one. All right, everybody, God bless, be safe. I'll see you all Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Schedule a private consultation to talk about your case. This is the best way to do it. jqqlaw.com /contact, jqqlaw.com /contact, and we can take it from there. God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye-bye.